Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Well, today, Carrie sent me a message. She has had a pup with Megaesophagus. If you don't know what that is, that's where basically the esophagus just doesn't work. They can't swallow the food down. There's possibly a pocket in it, a flap. It sometimes can be a complete death sentence if you do not understand how to take care of them. So Carrie has been through this once in the past. She actually likes to rescue these pups from breeders and stuff that others won't take. And she lost her first one. She has one now that she truly wants to save. So my experience with Megaesophagus, 7 years ago, I produced my first Megaesophagus out of 20 years of breeding. So it was very new to me. I really honestly had no clue what was happening. I remember going into the birthing kennel and I would feed all the pups. My biggest goal is everybody's eating. So here's, 4 or 5 week old puppies and the tray of food go down. They all dive in it and I'm looking down going, okay, great. Everybody's eating. Good. Take the tray up. I go back in the house to rinse the tray off and hang it up. I come back out to the kennel to check on the pups, and one pup is sitting in the corner. Nothing unusual. Pups would just kind of go off and do their own thing. But other puppies would come up to him and lick his face. And I'm watching this, and I'm wondering, what in the heck is going on? Why is this happening? So I kept it in my head, put it aside, went on with my work that day. That night, I went out and I laid their food tray out. They all dove in and ate. I pulled the tray out, set it on the other side of the birthing area, and I sat back and watched. This beautiful little black sable long coat male had ate all of his food up, gobbled it up. And at that time, I still ground puppy food, the baby's food. So it was a variety of the food I feed mom, and with vegetable base and some meat added and a little bit of vitamin added to it. He ate it. He goes to the corner of the kennel and he sits. And I'm watching this. It was just strange. I'd never seen this. Mostly puppies will just gobble it down and run all over in the shavings trying to find something somebody left. Well, then all of a sudden, all the puppies gathered around this little pup. They knew that this puppy produced food for them. So I'm watching. I'm completely curious to what is going on. Then all of a sudden, he started, regurgitating his food violently. And he threw everything up. And all the other litter mates dove in and got a second meal out of it. And this little pup just wandered off. So I jumped in, grabbed him up, took him in the house. This is my time. I need to figure out what is going on with this pup. What in the heck? Did some research online, kept this pup in with me, did a little syringe feeding with, liquid and stuff, and he did fairly well for me. Well, come to find out, this little man had a Megaesophagus. Scary? Yes. They can actually starve to death no matter how much you're feeding them. Right to the point of death if you don't catch it. Well, being it was my first time, it was kind of traumatic. So I kept this pup in with me. He was still nursing on mom at the time. So I would take him out, let him nurse. I would pull him out. I would start feeding him ground up food. Now, what I found out with a Megaesophagus, your main goal, number one goal, is that they do not throw up. Because the more they throw up, the more damage is done. So, started him on a liquid diet, syringe feeding him a little bit, and he started holding it down. I'm like, okay, we're making progress. Well, we made progress to the point that he is now 7 years old and doing amazing. The things I found out about doing this is always grind the food up. But the one thing that I found out that's very, very, very important is what you feed them dictates whether it stays in their stomach or not. If you feed a dog food that tends to produce gas in their stomach, which is very common with almost all dry dog food, because you're looking at all these preservatives, you're looking at all these minerals and proteins that are thrown into it. So you will get gas. If you get gas in their stomach, it builds up. It will push on that esophagus, and it'll open the flap, and it will projectile right out at you. So I started learning, and basically there's nothing online that tells you this. That's the scary thing. I called my local vet, and basically I was told, let's do surgery. Well, I'm not going to do surgery, because surgery on an esophagus is normally a death sentence. So I won't do it. So I'm like, okay, I will keep figuring this out. I figured it out. I stopped feeding him dry dog food ground up because it was producing the gas. It was part of the problem. I switched him to a vegetable base food where he had potatoes, carrots, broccoli, beans, all the vitamins he actually needed, with a boiled egg in there, and some meats like turkey, chicken, and you grind it up and it turns into almost a soup type of meal. And he ate that like it was nothing. Well, Eddie is still on that type of feeding to this day. Oh, I said his name. By the way, most people don't know, my Special Ed, the reason he is called Special Ed, is a Megaesophagus. And this is the reason why, a lot of people out there have contacted me because they want to breed to him. He is a beautiful, beautiful black sable male. I won't breed him. And I've had to tell numerous people that I won't, for the fact that a Megaesophagus is more of a chance of throwing more Megaesophagus. I don't ever want to produce another pup like this. So you have to be careful as a breeder. Now, there was no rhyme or reason. I have actually, over the years, thrown 3. And out of those 3, they were different father, different mother. It was just, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just a German Shepherd thing. Well, actually, it's an all-dog thing. It happens. I call them Fupa pups because as a breeder, there is times that you're going to get a pup that has a defect. No different than humans. People want to blame it on the breeding and things like that. You can't. They just happen. So, found good home for the other 2. Somebody that was knowledgeable, learned, took good care of them. But Eddie, to this day, is 7 years old. Life expectancy of a Megaesophagus, they say, is very short. It is not. It is not. Take the time. Ask around, do your research. And I am here. Anybody who has a Megaesophagus pup that needs a little help, I'm here. I am more than happy to give you my diet that I gave Ed. I still give Ed to this day. He is on a liquid diet. This morning he had his potatoes, carrots, he had a ton of turkey in it, he had his carrots, he had broccoli. He's doing amazing. Well, actually, he's kind of fat. But, for a Megaesophagus dog is very crucial. And I want you to remember, when you take your Mega Pup to the vet, you need to be their advocate. Now, again, like I said, your goal is to keep the gases out of the stomach. If you ever have a time a pup, is gassing up on you, Tums. I started grinding Tums with his food to neutralize that, and it worked well. Now, at this point in time, he is able, probably the last 4 years, he is able to actually burp, get gas out on his own. It's given his esophagus some time to, relax. They're very relaxed, but to handle what's going on. And I found exercise also helped with that. Eddie had a click, so he was having a flap issue in his esophagus. He would click when he breathed. So I'd run him, and you'd hear him clicking as he breathed. As time went on, the more exercise I gave him, the harder he breathed, the harder that esophagus got used, the better it got. So don't hesitate to work your pups, but also make sure they have the food and protein in them to survive this, because your first year is extremely crucial. But if I can recommend anything, if you have a Megaesophagus pup, do not feed them hard, dry, anything. Grind it into Basically like a nice soup, almost like if you think about it, like an egg flour soup. Because that's one of the things I did. I actually made him like an egg flour soup to get him through these times. Made a huge difference. Vets are not real knowledgeable on a Megaesophagus because their first response is to want to operate on it. They haven't had the experience with them. They haven't had megas come in where they care for them, so they don't have that understanding. And that's probably one of my biggest problems with vets, is actually having the experience. Book smart is wonderful, but experience kind of oversteps that. There's a lot of ways to do it. I used a lot of cannabis with Ed to relax his body once that food entered his stomach. It also helped to keep him from vomiting. It helped to keep the food down. There are many tricks. So please, if you have a Megaesophagus pup, any breeders out there that get them, don't give up on them. They can truly make it. Even a major Megaesophagus can be taken care of. Eddie's was bad. His was bad, and to this day, he is still the most amazing pup. He handles everything. He is at the point now, I treat all of my dogs at night. I double check on them before I go to bed, and they all get a treat before I go to bed. So he can eat like a full dog biscuit. I'll actually give him carrots because even though we're on a liquid diet, he still needs to be able to clean his teeth. So he's at that point where he can almost eat anything I hand him, but I will never change his diet for the fact I don't ever at this point want him to start throwing up again, or we will have an issue. So Carrie, I hope this helps you. I told you I would send you my recipes and stuff. I don't really have a recipe, but I'll give you a list of my ingredients, and buy yourself one of the little ninja grinders. Those things are amazing. And you add water to it, grind it in, and find out where your pups. Point is that how liquidy they need it. And don't be afraid. They can do very well on a very liquid diet. And use the vegetables, things that don't cause gas. It's really important to keep those gases down. And a lot of people just, they'll buy the chair, they'll feed them their regular food. You can't. It's almost impossible. Your pup will have major issues. And remember, your goal, number one, is to keep them from throwing up. And I've tried everything. When he was little, we tried Pepto-Bismol. Tums worked really well. Pepto did too. But changing the diet, just making sure there was no gas buildup. So you guys, give it a try. This is kind of a short one today, more of a story time, but Eddie's amazing, doing wonderful, and a true survivor, and it can be done, so do not give up. Do not ever give up. Syringe feed them a complete liquid diet. You can also just take the vitamin paste you can buy at a store and stick that in with vegetables and keep it at a low gas rate, like just adding chicken, turkey, things like that. It's like this morning, Eddie got his. It was, all of his vegetables and some turkey, and boy, he loved it. So you guys, please do not ever give up on a Megaesophagus, and I highly recommend you do not do the surgery, because once you mess with that esophagus, there is no going back. Oh, and another thing. You do go to the vet, be your dog's advocate. Because, again, like I said, they don't really have a whole bunch of dealings with them. One thing you want to make sure is they don't give them any medication that can cause them to throw up. Like antibiotics. You put an antibiotic into a puppy who's a Megaesophagus, chances are hasn't eaten that day, and now you have a stomach that is churning and having all kinds of reactions to that antibiotic. They will throw up. It has the same reaction to us. That's why they say take it with food. So be very careful. There are other alternatives. If your dog gets an infection and needs to have antibiotics, it needs to be in a shot form, or they need to be the point where you can add it in their food. But don't ever just let a pill go into your dog. So that's about all I can really tell you. Just don't give up. Be your dog's advocate. learn, find their point where they can take the food down. Basically, when a mega has problems, you need to get a food in that easily goes down their esophagus and makes it to the stomach. Dry food packs, it just stays in place. And it is extremely painful when they have to throw it back up. And that was my goal with Ed. Never throw up again. But, you will have times because, special Ed here will find somebody else's bowl that hasn't finished, and, he can't control himself real well. So he eats it and then has an issue. So then basically you have to go the entire day. Say he did it in the morning, he ate one of the other dog's food, and he threw up. He will not get fed till that evening for the fact that now his esophagus needs the time to calm back down. We allow him to have water, to drink, to settle. I normally put him on a cannabis base because that'll help that esophagus just relax and recuperate. So don't ever force him to eat. A puppy, when they're hungry, they'll eat. When I have dogs out here, if I threw a bucket of rocks out, they'd probably eat them. They're just always hungry. Typical dog. So you guys, hey, thank you for hanging out with me. And if you have a question, and I can answer it from some of the experiences I've had, because I, as a breeder, every litter teaches me something new. I don't know it all. I wish, I wish I could help all dogs, but I have to teach what I have learned. And I look at every litter always teaches me something new. There's always something in each litter. I have learned how to make sure that my puppies never get diarrhea. As puppies do when you switch them to food, explosions start happening. Well, I've learned over time how to keep that from happening. So that'd be another podcast. But you guys, hey, thank you for hanging out with me. Please subscribe, like it, give me a thumbs up, share it. Let's get these out there. I want to help save as many pups as we can. These secrets should never be hidden away. As a breeder, I have had, things pop up that other people do that don't know how to handle it. Please pass this out. Let's help some other pups out there. Let's see if we can save another mega. They are amazing puppies. They just have a basic disability. And it can be conquered. And it can work very well. So you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. And we will talk to you soon. Shoot me your messages. See you later.